party people, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tori. It's so nice to be with you today. As you can see, I have a little bit of a Beyonce wind moment going. I am running my fan on full blast because I don't have central AC in this apartment. But I thought we could chit chat about some of my summer favorites. I have some beauty products, fashion faves, and some random favorites as well. I've been posting these favorites over on Shorts, but I have not made a favorites video in a while, so this one's gonna be a little bit of a longer one. Grab a beverage because I'm gonna be chatting your ear off. So let's get into it. Starting off with my fashion favorites, I have two pairs of shoes that I've really been loving this year, but especially in the summertime. The first pair is one that I'm sure you're all sick of hearing about, but they are my Maison Margiela Mary Jane sandals. I really love these sandals. I find these sandals to be super versatile, but also very walkable. I have walked around in countless cities, in New York, in Paris, in Nice, France, wearing these shoes, and my feet never hurt. They never chafe. I've never gotten a single blister from them. I also love these shoes because you can dress them up very easily, whether that's for going out to dinner or going to weddings or wedding related parties. I have worn these, I think, at every wedding I have gone to in the past like 2 years. This year I also started using the app Index to kind of track what I've been wearing and to get more actual data on the cost per wear of the clothing items that I have. And I bought these shoes in 2023. They were $1,012.85. And according to Index, I have worn these 14 times in the last 836 days. And so far the cost per wear is $72.35 per wear. The next pair of shoes are actually too gross for me to bring into my room, so I will insert photos of me wearing them. And it is a pair of these Dolce Vita boots. I wear these shoes to Coachella. I wore them to Lollapalooza. Did I get tendonitis from wearing these shoes unbroken in at Coachella? Yeah, but since then, baby, they've been broken in, so I haven't had any complaints or any problems since then. So according to Index, this is the cost per wear. I bought them on Friday, March 21st, and I've worn them 12 times in the last 164 days. The original price was $273.76, and currently my cost per wear is $22.81 per wear. My next fashion favorite is a dress, and it is this one that I got from Buffalo Exchange over in Williamsburg when I was in New York earlier this year, and it is from Dress Barn originally, and it's just this polka dot dress. What really attracted me to this dress was the fact that it doesn't have a built-in slip, so I could kind of control how revealing I want the dress to be. I can make it as conservative as I want by adding a traditional slip underneath, or I can make it a little bit more fun and flirty by just wearing a black bra and shorts or high-waisted underwear. Polka dots have been a really huge trend, I think, for the last year and a half, and while I wasn't intentionally seeking out to sport this trend in any way, it clearly found its way into my closet. So even when you don't think you're being influenced, you are. I feel like just the constant repetition of polka dots has done something to my brain. I actually don't know the cost of wear for this item because I did not take a photo of the receipt, and I was just being a dummy. The last fashion favorite is a pair of sunglasses, and these ones are from Gentle Monster. They did cost a pretty penny. We'll get into the cost per wear in a second, but I've really been on the hunt for the past year. I was really on the hunt for a pair of Wayfarer style sunglasses. I was like, do I just go Ray-Ban or do I go a more funky route? And I decided to go with Gentle Monster, even though they're a bit more pricey, because I heard that they were made specifically for Asian faces because they are a Korean brand. I feel very moody and very cunty when I wear these sunglasses. I also really love Gentle Monster because they can adjust them for you on site, and you get like a lifetime guarantee. So whenever you need it to be like fixed or readjusted, they will do that for you for free. Or I suppose it's included in the lifetime price. Now let's break down the cost per wear for these sunglasses. I purchased them March 16th, 2025. So they were originally, with tax, they were originally $312.48. I have worn them about 53 times this year, which means the cost per wear is $5.90. Next up, we have beauty favorites, and I have 5 in this category. Let's start with like the more boring stuff. Starting off, we have an antiperspirant. I picked this up when I was in France in June, and it is the Vichy antiperspirant treatment in intense perspiration. This is what it looks like. It kind of has a roller ball, and it's a liquid antiperspirant. It smells very powdery, kind of like old lady-ish, but it really kept the pits at bay. The second boring product I have is another one that I picked up while I was in France, and it is Biafine. Now listen, there's a lot of talk about Biafine on the internet, and I need you to believe the hype. I believe Beaphine is an ointment that's meant to treat like burns and scratches and cuts, and this stuff saved my ass. I was kind of eaten alive by mosquitoes, and I also got a heat rash or a sun rash from being outside so much, and putting this stuff on my heat rash and also on my bug bites alleviated the pain, alleviated the itch, and also made them go away so much faster. Normally whenever I get bitten by mosquitoes, I will bruise easily. I bruise like a peach, I bruise like a banana, and those bruises will kind of stay on my body for like 6-8 months plus. It happens every time I go to the Philippines, but I put this stuff on my fresh mosquito bites. Not a single trace of a mosquito bite on my body. I also had a very crazy heat rash on my neck. I put this on every day. It's so good. So if you are ever in France, you gotta pick up one of these bad boys, because you never know when you might need a quick fix ointment. And I feel like everyone talks about A313, but Beaphine is the product you have to get. Moving on to makeup products. I have 2 makeup products that I wanted to talk about, and both of these have been in my collection forever. The first one is these Westman Atelier liquid super loaded drops. I believe this is in the shade Peau de Soleil. This is not a bronzing drop necessarily, because it doesn't actually change the shade of your skin, but it adds a nice bronze sheen to your skin, and I really love this stuff. I'm attempting Project Pan and just getting through my entire makeup collection, and I've had this for quite some time, but I really fell in love with this stuff, especially this year, because I got extremely tan while I was on vacation, and my face always looks more pale than the rest of my body, and I feel like this product, you just add a few dots, it really helped me kind of like color match or shade match my skin. Outside of the weddings I have attended this summer, I cannot remember a time where I actually wore makeup during the day this summer. It's just been this complexion product, and really loving it. The second makeup product I have is another complexion product, and it is this Say Dew Blush in the shade Chili. The Say Dew blushes are honestly super user-friendly. I feel like they're very easy to blend out. You can also build upon it. Obviously with Dew in the name, it also kind of adds a little bit more luminosity to the skin. I'm currently wearing it right now, as well as some highlighter, but really just loving Say blushes. I also recently bought another shade of the Dew blush because I love this so much. But Say Beauty, they know what they're doing when it comes to the blush department, that's for sure. My final beauty favorite is a perfume, and I did ask my mother to try and find this in Europe when she went on her own girls trip, because this does cost a pretty penny, and not only that, but I cannot pronounce the brand of this perfumery, but it is this perfume in Generations. The fig notes, oh, it's so good. Let me try to spray this. I did just get some in my eye because of my fan, but I really love this scent. I really love the fig notes. I'll leave all of the notes up on the screen, but I feel like it's just a slightly more androgynous scent. I can't believe we have AI taking over and like literally melting the ice caps, but we don't have smell-o-vision, because I desperately wish that you could smell this, because it's fabulous, and it's exactly what I smell like right now. So this very expensive perfume is my final beauty fave. Shout out to my mother for finding it for me. Love you, Mom. Moving on, the last category in this favorites video is like a bookish section. This first book is one that I devoured and I was quite literally obsessed with in the beginning of the summer, and that is All Fours by Miranda July. Everyone that I know who has read this book, you either love this book or you hate it with a passion. This book follows a semi-famous artist who leaves her husband and her young child back home in LA to go on a road trip to New York. She's on this road trip to kind of have a bit of like a creative exploration, but she ends up just camping out at a motel half-hour away from her home and kind of starts a romantic relationship with a man that she meets in this random little town. When I'm reading a novel, what I'll do is I will dog ear any page that I think has an interesting quote or quotes that are related to the plot of the story. Let me find a good one. Wanting a body had a seriousness to it. When you said you might never recover, you really meant it. This kind of desire made you a wound you just had to carry with you for the rest of your life. But this was still better than never knowing, or I hoped it was. I also really love any book that kind of talks about desire and you know, the dark elements about it, the animalistic elements of desire. I really just feel like the exploration of desire, especially in like mainstream media and art, has kind of become purified because we're kind of living in like this very conservative leaning era right now. So I really enjoyed reading this. I also read the acknowledgements in the back, found out that Miranda July used to be either married to or was in a very serious relationship with the writer-director Mike Mills. And I love Mike Mills. I especially love his movie 20th Century Women. I kind of went on a deep dive and kind of was looking at the ways in which their art has influenced one another, but also how they kind of deal with similar tropes or ideas, but they talk about them and dissect them from different points of view. And I kind of went on a little bit of a bender, a Miranda July, Mike Mills bender, but it was very, very fun. The second book that I want to talk about is a book that I actually didn't devour, but it is a short book, so I did finish it pretty quickly. But the premise of the book and like just the ideas that the author brings up in this book have kind of just stayed with me, and I've been ruminating and marinating in them for quite some time. And that is Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. Deborah Levy? Not entirely sure. This is kind of described as a coming of age story. We follow a young woman named Sophia. She is from the UK, but she is half Greek, and she is in this tiny little island town in Spain with her mother because they're hoping that this like well-known doctor in town can help them figure out what Sophia's mother's true ailments are. And it really just talks about the suffocating relationship between mother and daughter, and it explores other relationships as well, but I won't dive into those because I don't want to spoil it for you. But I had a really hard time getting into this book because the way the narrator speaks is like a very particular kind of beat and tone. We're from Sophia's point of view, and we learn that Sophia studied anthropology when she was in university. Because she's an anthropologist, it feels very matter of fact. So it took me a lot of time to get used to, and I don't think I actually ever really fully committed to the book because I felt at such an arm's length. But like I said, the themes and the ideas that are explored in this book have really just stayed with me, and I've kind of just been thinking about them. Let me find a quote that doesn't spoil the book. I kept on walking in a daze. I had made something happen. I was shaking, and I knew that I had held myself in for too long in my body and in my skin. The word anthropology, from the Greek anthropos, meaning human, and logica, meaning study. If anthropology is the study of humankind from its beginnings millions of years ago to this day, I'm not very good at studying myself. Just to reiterate one of the themes in books that I always love to read, I underlined this quote that said, "I'm not sure how much desire I am entitled to possess." Like, wow, what a book. I will say, if you are gonna read this book, definitely save this book for the hot, sweltering summertime. I feel like reading this book in the summer definitely helped me feel more immersed when the prose necessarily was stopping me from feeling immersed. I also read this while I was in my hometown, dog sitting for my parents, and I just like, it feels weird reading about such a suffocating mother and daughter relationship when like I was in my mother's home surrounded by her stuff. Again, just added to my immersion in the book. That's it for the books, but to close out this video, let's talk about a bookish related thing that I've been doing. So I've actually been keeping a physical vocabulary book. I found this super cutie and very thin little journal at Barnes & Noble. There are just so many words that I don't know when I'm reading, and I have noticed, especially when I'm reading digitally on my Kobo, even when I highlight those words, because I don't have like a physical or a permanent space for those words to live, I kind of forget about them and forget that I've read them or that I've looked them up or whatever. So I've created my own little vocabulary, wordly wise. Let's see, oh, here's one from All Fours by Miranda July. I wrote down maudlin. It's an adjective and I did not know what it means. It means self-pityingly or tearfully sentimental, often through drunkenness. A lot of people are talking about like journaling ecosystems, and I feel like if you are someone who likes to have many journals, might I suggest adding a vocabulary journal to your ecosystem, because I'm finding it to be quite helpful. We live in a world where everyone is talking about how the literacy rate is down, how people are using AI to just like write anything and everything, and no one knows anything anymore. And I'm actively trying to not be part of that population, okay? So I've really been loving this. I've been recording for a very long time, but I hope you made it to the end. These were all of my summer favorites. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know down below what some of your summer favorites have been, or just favorites in general, things you've been loving this year, this month, this week, who knows? But I'd love to get a conversation started below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more. Bye.